A very good evening to you. We're coming to you from the centre of Johannesburg. We're in the Johannesburg CBD. Why are we in the Johannesburg CBD? Well, this particular city's history with mining goes back to the 1800s, during that first recorded discovery of gold. Now, since then, thousands of workers have come to work in the mines in Johannesburg and the surrounding municipalities. Now, with that have also come the various multinationals who've made billions of dollars profiting off the mineral riches of South Africa. Now, as the resources beneath the ground dwindled and profits shrunk, some of those companies are winding down their businesses. Enter the illegal miners, better known in South Africa's colloquial language as the Zamazamas. They are groups of mainly young men, in some cases, disturbingly, even children, teenagers, who are going underground using their bare hands at times and man-made or handmade tools to go into the belly of the earth and extract whatever little minerals are left there. That then leads to a rising problem in South Africa. Police launching Operation Vala Umgodi. Hundreds of illegal miners arrested in just a few months. Latest ones were arrested in Barberton, about 541 of them. Dozens, possibly even more, are known to have died when you think of what happened in Stilfontein late last year. So tonight we explore South Africa's problem of illegal mining. We'll look at how far it goes, but also who is making the real profits from the illicit trade. And to help us do that, we're going to start shortly in Mpumalanga. My name is Tembekile Mkhototo, and I'll be presenting this coverage for you between now and 8 p.m. We're going to go live now to Mpumalanga, Mbombela. That's where we find SABC reporter Nhlanhla Jele, who's been tracking the developments there around illegal mining, including Operation Vala Umgodi. I wonder if illegal mining has actually died down at all since we saw those mass arrests earlier this month. Nhlanhla?
Indeed, good evening to you, Tembekile, and to the viewers at home. Sadly, it has not died down. Remember, Barberton is not the only town that has issues with illegal miners. We have Pilgrim's Rest, Sabi, we have Emelo. You know, just the province has a big problem when it comes to illegal mining. And you mentioned Vala Umgodi. We see every now and again police are making arrests, you know, trying to stop or to curb this issue of illegal mining. I mean, you go to Sabi, you find them there. You go to Pilgrim's Rest, you find the same issue. I mean, just this afternoon, in Barberton, and the residents were complaining not only about crime, criminal elements like murder, like circulation of guns in the community, but also about the Zamazamas who come from these mines into the community and commit these crimes within the community that they live in. And of course, many of these illegal miners being illegal immigrants, people from outside the country like Mozambique, Eswatini, Zimbabwe, who come and terrorize the communities. But just to speak to us about how these operations are going in the province is the SAPS spokesperson, Brigadier Donald Mdluli. Brigadier, thank you so much for your time and for joining us at the SABC this evening. Operation Vala Umgodi is in full swing. It's continuing. How are we doing in terms of trying to curb the issue of Zamazamas or illegal miners in the province?
Good evening as well as to the viewers. We're doing quite well. I think the community members have seen in the past weeks how we were doing because Operation Vala Umgodi tries to address the issue of criminality that is happening where people go and mine illegally. So, and also it doesn't go together with only illegal mining. However, firearms are being used by people who are executing these things. So hence, especially with the issue that you just touched on, Barberton, remember earlier this year, the Deputy Minister, Castle Matali, as well as the management of the SAPS went there, and people complained that there were criminal activities that were taking place, and hence there was a promise that police will respond, and indeed they responded and came with a lot of operations that were carried out there. There are many firearms that were confiscated, and also the issue of people that are coming from other countries, the illegal immigrants. As I'm talking to you right now, tomorrow we've got more than 50 people that were arrested by members of the police. However, we need to indicate that we are not working alone. The issue of crime doesn't only want police to work in silos. However, we're working with other stakeholders, law enforcement, including the security officers, to try and address that. And and that's why we are having these successes. So collaboration as well as members of the community that are always providing information, I think is very crucial. People should understand that they've got a part to take or a stake that they must bring forth in order for us to work and achieve that by bringing information that is crucial, as well as because we know we've got our intelligence, they're collecting information. However, some of these criminals, you find that they are kept within houses, so people should continue to work with us, and we appreciate so far how we are doing, and going forward we believe that we are going to have a successful place where people will be safe in the province.
The issue of guns, Brigadier, shortly tell us about that. Are you winning in terms of collecting guns within communities?
Yes, indeed. We are, because you know that the issue of firearms are used mostly in violent crimes. So hence we are trying in every week. There are many firearms from all these three districts that we have in the province. We are winning because there are arrests that are being made. I think people know the information that we're sharing. So we are making an effort to win on that, and we still continue to plead with people. If you have information of anyone with a firearm, please inform the police, and we're going to act.
Thank you so much, Brigadier Thembekile. As you have heard Brigadier Donald Mdluli saying, they are doing quite well, especially with Operation Vala Umgodi, saying it's a collaborative effort, of course, between the SAPS, other stakeholders and community members who are coming forward. And of course, we do understand, and we've heard over time, communities saying the reason for this illegal immigrants or illegal mining taking place within their communities is the issue of unemployment. So basically what we are seeing or picking up on the ground, Thembekile, is that because of the high unemployment rates that are happening in the province, people resort to going back into the mines to try and fend for their families. Thembekile.
Ndandla live for us in Mpumalanga tonight as we continue the SABC's extended coverage tonight. Special focus on the crimes in the country. Tonight we're looking at illegal mining. So we've given you the picture in terms of what's been going on in Mpumalanga, that large operation in Barberton where more than 540 illegal miners were ultimately detained. Theirs was a case so large they could only appear in court in small groups. But we're hearing in another part of the country that an operation like Vala Umgodi, which is carried out by the police, is having little effect in deterring illegal miners. Tonight, we tell you how we went on patrol with two private security companies in Benoni on Gauteng's East Rand, where they've now stepped in to take on the fight against illegal miners. But as they admit, there isn't any part of life in the neighboring communities that has been left untouched by the scourge of this crime. In Benoni, the fight against illegal mining is a relentless game of cat and mouse between private security patrols and the so-called zamazamas. It's a dangerous trade for everyone involved. Two private security companies who took us on patrol say they face heavily armed miners.
You're looking at rifles with scopes on them, snipers, you've got AK-47s, and most of it looks like military grade, the AK-47s. Because the magazines, in our line of work, we know how to differentiate between the firearms. And their magazines are a little bit longer than the normal average magazine that you will buy in a shop, which gives you an indication that it's military.
For more than a decade, rival groups have fought bloody turf wars for control of these shafts.
Crime is I think out of hand in Benoni area, specifically because the zamazamas basically do what they want. They move into town, which is that side, at night. Local South Africans can't move around at night. Women get raped, people get mugged, and I think on a daily basis as security companies that work with the zamazamas, we then have to try and intervene, but we also can only intervene to an extent where then we have to hand over to SABC. Every night there's gunfire, there's fire faction fights between the two different factions, and then both us and the other security companies have to then intervene.
Here in Benoni, mining is happening on the doorsteps of businesses and even people's homes. Just a few meters away from busy Snake Road in Benoni, the scars left by illegal mining operations in this community are apparent. They are used and abandoned illegal mining shafts. The men, or at least one who we've seen here, says they go down daily. Sometimes they spend a week or more beneath the surface digging for what's left of gold.
How many grams?
As the grams.
This gram, 1 gram, I ends up 1.5.
And what's the biggest you get away from, man?
From one day. So then I told about 100,000. The 2023.
Dr. Patel, who works with community safety groups, says the industry is a complex web, 60% foreign nationals, 40% locals, with diggers at the bottom and armed snipers guarding them.
The DMRE and government closed the shafts at the top. So what these guys do is they go in from the side. So they dig a tunnel from the side into the shaft, and that's how they barrel themselves into the shaft. There's no safety equipment, there's no lighting, all they have is this little light on the head. They operate with very archaic and conventional means. No oxygen tanks, no air conditioning, no air being pumped in and bad air out. You will hear of explosions. Sometimes people die in there because there's suddenly an explosion, and that could be methane gas or anything.
So even after last year's Operation Vala Umgodi cracked down on illegal mining, Patel says 80% of the shafts have already reopened. The battle seems endless. Just to top a mine dump, miners scattered again as soon as our crew arrived, watched closely by armed security.
Okay, so this whole area underneath us is basically shafts, and all those guys running there, Zamazamas, they now saw us, and because they know we will arrest them, they start running. They will leave their product behind and run away. On the right-hand side by the dam, that's where they will normally stand and wash their product to get the free gold out of the product after they've molded it. But this whole area, if the camera zooms over and goes over, you'll see people running. Those are all Zamazamas.
Just down the road, we also found yellow machines, as well as rehabilitation work taking place alongside illegal mining. On our approach, miners disappeared underground while guards scanned for snipers. Police say Operation Vala Umgodi remains effective, but activists insist it targets the lowest level workers, while those profiting most continue untouched.
The crime has gone up in the areas. Police have been infiltrated, and I'm not saying all police are bad. Just please don't get me wrong on that issue, because the police are not bad. Unfortunately, you do have your factions, or not your factions, officers within the law that does not comply with the law. We make arrests and we never go to court for any of the arrests that we make.
For Benoni's residents, the Zamazama war is far from over. They live with the blasting from improvised explosives like this one, the danger and the fear, while wondering if anything will ever change.
I doubt that very much. This is a perpetual thing. It'll be ongoing for a long time.
That's our report, filmed in the last 24 hours while on patrol with private security guards in Benoni on Gauteng's East Rand, where, as you've just seen, the war against illegal mining is far from over. Let's bring in now David van Wyk, researcher and analyst with the Benchmarks Foundation. David, good to have you on the SABC this evening. So we've just covered at least two parts of the country that have been affected by the scourge of illegal mining. And I'm wondering if at this stage, years into looking at the trends of illegal mining and the movements of Zamazamas, do we even know how many people are part of the problem? Do we know how many mines, for example, have actually been affected?
Well, I think that there are different kinds of operations that take place. There are those operations that are ghost operations in legally registered mines where people operate parallel to the legal operation that is there. Like the Barberton mine, that was the case. Then there are, of course, operations in abandoned mines, and the issue of abandoned mines is a problematic issue because we've got 6,000 abandoned mines in this country. Now, capping a mine with a cement block doesn't help, as you could see there. You actually need to properly rehabilitate a mine. You need to plug a mine for 25 meters down with a concrete plug, rather than just a cap over the top. And you actually need to rehabilitate the environment. Apart from that, you also need to actually see what it is that the mine that has been abandoned has left there that can be useful to the community as well. And of course, you need to look at the possibilities of artisanal, small-scale and medium-scale mining as well. You're not going to solve this problem with police. It's not a policing problem. It's an economics problem. It is a mining problem. It is a problem of a country that is going into a post-mining society where large-scale industrial mining is in steep decline. Tens of thousands of workers are being retrenched every year. Many of them are being retrenched without receiving their pensions. 42 billion rands are locked up in pension funds that have not reached mine workers. Apart from that, the moment a mine worker loses his job, they effectively become an illegal immigrant because the mining company shuts down. Very often the mine workers are not even informed that the mining company is shut down. They lose their work permits and so on, and they don't have money to go home because they've not received their pensions and unemployment benefits, and so they remain behind in informal settlements. The living out allowance by mining companies, where they give people 2,000 rands a month to live out of the mine hostels and so on, creates another problem because that creates a squatter camp right next to the mine. Every mine in South Africa, just about every mine, has a squatter camp right next to it. The moment the mine gets abandoned by the company, the people who live in that squatter camp then access that mine, they strip that mine, they sell the metal to scrap metal dealers and so on. The pictures that you're showing there are chrome mines in the background now. That's a completely different story. Those are very big syndicates with trucks and graders and all kinds of things that operate in the Limpopo area. So different metals and different mining operations have different issues. For example, in the Limpopo area, the problem deals with traditional authorities.
And David, just on that point, you're about to give us an example there, David, but I want to squeeze in before you get to that, what you were just saying about the pictures we've been showing. If this is such a lucrative trade, and these are syndicates in some cases that are armed to the hilt, basically, what hope is there of the current ways in which government is responding to the problem being effective?
Well, if you don't cut off the head of the snake, you're not going to kill the snake. You can cut as much of the tail as you want, it will just grow a new tail, especially with the large numbers of unemployed people and so on. And, you know, the labor sending areas were southern Mozambique, Lesotho, Eastern Cape, Zimbabwe, and so on. And those people are the people who have been coming to South Africa to work in the mines formerly for many generations, you know, so they continue to come to South Africa. And those who are in South Africa who don't get their pensions can't get out of South Africa because they don't have the funds with which to do so. Also, the issue of explosives, the issue of mercury, for example, an eye drop bottle of mercury costs 2,000 rands. A 20-liter canister of mercury costs 60,000 rands. There's no Zama that can afford that. That is provided to them by people who actually supply mercury. And mercury should be proscribed, it should be restricted, it should not have general access to people. In that Benoni area there, I'm quite certain that there's a pharmacy that is providing the Zamazamas in the area with mercury. You know, and until you actually begin to do an audit of all the mines in South Africa and what the state of those mines are, whether they are close to end of life, whether they have been abandoned, whether they are still operational and so on, you're not going to get to grips with the problem. The other problem is labor broking and subcontracting, because many labor brokers and subcontractors go and hire people outside of the country to come and work in the mines, hire people in the provinces and townships where people are unemployed to come and work in the mines, only for those people to find that they are in illegal operations, you know, and so we are arresting the wrong people. And unless we arrest the kingpins, and when I talk about a kingpin, it's not someone that is nearby there. A kingpin is living in Sandton, he's driving a BMW, or is living in Pretoria, in the leafy suburbs of Pretoria, or in Cape Town. not these people here. It's like when we deal with drugs in the Western Cape, it doesn't help to arrest a peddler on the street. You need to arrest the guy who is actually importing the drugs and so on. The same thing with Zamazamas and this particular industry. Unless you actually begin to deal with who is at the top, who is supplying the mercury, who is supplying the explosives. Zamazamas tell me that they find explosives in the stockades underground. Now, why do mining companies that abandon mines leave explosives underground?
So on that point then, David, the kingpins, as you say, these aren't the men in the dirty overalls who are sometimes barefoot, spend weeks underground eating, relieving themselves in those tiny spaces until they can bring up sufficient or loot that'll bring in some money. If we know the profile of the kingpins, why aren't we seeing prosecutions at that level? Who are they and why are they not being found?
Well, I think that first and foremost, you need to look at the scrap metal dealers. You need to look at the security companies themselves. You need to look at the police. But you also need to look at the political people that are involved in this. Louis Liebenberg hands out diamonds and diamond rings and so on to senior politicians in this country. Louis Liebenberg is the biggest smuggler of diamonds in this country. And I say so without any fear of being contradicted when I say that. He lived in Belcom, which is a gold-producing area. What do you think he was doing in Belcom with his diamonds where there's gold? The guy was arrested for having a Ponzi scheme. And the Ponzi scheme members are the people who had him arrested. It's not the authorities that had him arrested for being a kingpin in the Zama trade. We know the names of people that are kingpins and so on. They are even named in the media and so on, but we don't act against them. And so, as per normal, we go for the small fry so that we can get publicity and say, we've arrested 500 Zamazamas underground and so on. Those same Zamazamas from Stilfontein are now appearing in Machabeng. They appeared in Middelburg. They appear elsewhere. Many of them who were supposedly deported are already back in the country in any case. Many of them got off the bus even before they reached the border.
David van Wyk, a researcher as well as analyst on the issues of mining in the country with the Benchmarks Foundation. Thank you so much for your time. We want to get another perspective on this issue, bring in from the Mining Affected Communities United Organization, Vala Umgodi. Vala, very good evening to you. Welcome to the SABC. So you recently held a demonstration, in fact, calling for the formalization of small-scale or artisanal mining in the country. You've also been talking about how you believe government should adopt an approach that is anti-poor in dealing with the problem of illegal mining. What would that look like?
Good evening, Timbekile. Good evening to the viewers at home. Thank you. For decades, as mining affected communities, we have not been given any opportunity to participate in the sector. So how it is being proposed at this current moment via the bill, the requirements that are required for an ordinary citizen or an ordinary artisanal miner to participate in the sector, the regulations are too steep, if one may. So what we are calling for solutions that are community driven, where as communities we are part of the decision making in terms of coming with solutions, proposing regulations or other systems that will ensure that the artisanal mining sector or the mining own is accessible to communities, because at this moment only those who've got economic power, they can participate. Even in the primary or the principal act, it's section 104 where communities are given an opportunity to participate in the sector. But when you look at how their requirements itself, they require you as a community member or as a grouping in the community to produce financial muscle. And we know in terms of accessing finance in South Africa is very difficult. It's even very difficult for established business to have access to the economy or rather finances to assist to participate in the sector. So yeah, we are calling for a sector that is even easily accessible, but it is made community centered where we can participate without being accused of being criminals or participating in the illegal sector. Because as it is, even the commercial miners are mining illegal.
And Sabelo, when we were in Benoni, we were told that the makeup of the groups of illegal miners there, it's 60% foreign, 40% local. Is that the same thing that you are seeing in the other communities where Makua is active?
That's correct. Remember, at this moment, even the sector itself, especially underground operations, where we are seeing some artisanal miners are working, it is a sector that is still criminalized, and it's also controlled by criminal syndicates. Those criminal syndicates, they go to neighboring countries to source employees because of, we know where an undocumented immigrant or undocumented worker is working. They are exploited. They are considered as cheap labor. So hence we are calling for legalization and formalization of the sector so that it will have systems to ensure that whoever that participates in the sector, whoever that participates within artisanal mining, it is documented and they follow due process and they follow the laws of the country. The reason we are seeing that 60% or in some areas is even 80%, in some areas is 100% undocumented for it. It's because it is controlled by syndicates whom are not even complying with any regulations.
And
those undocumented foreigners so that they continue to exploit them. It's all about exploitation. They are being exploited also.
And to what extent, Sabelo, is the formal mining industry complicit in this crisis? Have they contributed as well?
Definitely. Yes, they are the contributors of they are creating an environment. Remember, artisanal mining was Amazama. Doesn't take place in an area where mining isn't taking place. It takes place in abandoned mines. And we know, according to our regulations, mining companies are supposed to rehabilitate. They're supposed to do proper mining closure, of which they are not doing so. And our departments, in terms of DPMR, they are not following up in terms of ensuring that regulations of mine closure, regulations of rehabilitation are adhered to. So mining companies, the commercial mining companies, they are abandoning those mines. They leave them derelict. Then they create a space where artisanal mining can take place. To the extent that a majority of the time when they leave these abandoned mines, it kills the local economy. Then you will find former mine workers, they will go back to those shafts because they're not properly closed, they're not properly rehabilitated. Then it creates the environment. What creates the environment for artisanal mining is commercial miners in the Department of Mineral and Resources for not ensuring that regulations are followed when mine closure takes place.
Mm-hmm. And you were criticized as the Mining Affected Communities United. Sabelo, we're struggling a bit with your line, but I want to squeeze in this last question because you were criticized during the Stilfontein operation when Vala Umgodi was there, and the minister, I think it was the minister and the presidency, who used the word to smoke out illegal miners there. You went to court and said government had treated the illegal miners inhumanely, denying them access to food, water, in some cases medication as well. And you also wanted an inquiry into how the government handled that process. Are you still pushing for that to happen? And ultimately, what would you want the consequences to be over what was the response or how the issue was handled by the authorities in Stilfontein?
No, thanks. As David was saying, that what we are seeing with Operation Vala Umgodi, we are not opposing Operation Vala Umgodi as an operation or as an instrument to combat illegal mining. We are concerned that it only focuses on those who are doing the mining itself. We haven't seen any kingpin or those who are at the upper level being prosecuted or brought to book. What we saw in Stilfontein was that the law, it seems to target those who are poor and marginalized, those who are also even exploited. As you correctly put it earlier on, to say 60% to 80% of the sector is dominated by undocumented immigrants. So those undocumented immigrants, because they're undocumented, we saw Operation Vala Umgodi targeting them, only them, but we didn't see anyone at the upper level. And then we were concerned that because of their national status, it means then their life doesn't matter. For the state to track or to deal with illegal mining, it needs to focus throughout the supply chain. And we believe that those who are those who are at the sector, who are at the lower level, they can give more information as to who is exploiting them, who is ensuring that they continue to work, who ensures that they continue to receive supplies. But they should not be prosecuted in a sense that we are not following international laws. We are not even following our own constitution. We are not opposing the state implementing law or ensuring that our communities are safety. But when the law is implemented, it should be parallel. It should not be on the other side. We are breaking the law while we are also trying to uphold the law. So we are concerned, but yes, we are continuously following up the issue of an inquiry so that we can get to understand all the happenings that are happening within the industry, and we are hoping that inquiry will assist to even influence the regulations in terms of artisanal mining to ensure that the space is safe in terms of human rights, is safe in terms of working conditions, because it is a sector that can bring can create job opportunities and benefit the economy of the country.
Sabelo Mnguni, thank you very much for that. Sabelo is with the Mining Affected Communities United organization. By the way, if you're just joining us, you're watching special coverage on the SABC tonight dedicated to the illegal mining trade in South Africa. As we've been saying, thousands of people are known to have been arrested, but we're told these aren't necessarily the people who are calling the shots in the industry. Now, illegal mining is not just concentrated in Gauteng, which would have been, if you understand, the pot of honey, if you can phrase it in that way, for the gold mining rush of the 1800s and even into the 2000s. When you look at parts of the country like Limpopo, they too are bearing the brunt, and even the environment is paying the price, as Kokecho Motau reports now.
Communities in Atok and Beggarsford have been plagued by illegal chrome mining for years. Some community members have allegedly been involved in this illegal activity, with others even employing foreign nationals to work for them. There are several tunnels dug during the illegal operations, some going underneath people's houses, a primary school and the R37 road. A church in the area has been forced to relocate due to the dangers posed by several tunnels dug underneath its yard, allegedly by illegal miners. A community leader has expressed concerns that illegal activities persist in the area despite the deployment of soldiers who are now withdrawing from the area.
When it comes to illegal mining, yes, it's still continuing in this place. That is our worry, because we want to end this illegal, and then so that we can work properly. So it's just the government is the one that is failing us, and the more they fail us, the illegal will always continue, because there's no other means of finances or maybe other means of work, because people want to work. But then ever since the soldiers came, those people went away, the soldiers arrested others, and then that time it was okay. But ever since now, they are used to the soldiers now, so they are still doing the illegal. They started doing the illegal again. Even now, they are busy with the illegals, because the soldiers now, maybe let's say they are no more longer powerful, because now they know them.
The community leader also calls on government to issue small-scale mining licenses to mining communities to curb illegal mining and ensure that it is regulated.
I would like to say to the government, we are asking help towards this thing of small-scale mining, because without the license, there's nothing that we can do. We want to stop illegal, yes, but you can't stop illegal, then stop and do nothing, because once you stop them, then they'll come again with another tricky way to do another illegal. But if we get something like small-scale mining licenses as traditional authority, yes, we do want that. As a headman, I say I can do that. As long as if they give me the licenses, or they give a company that we identify, they give it a license, then we can mine for ourselves. We know that at least our economy can also grow for Limpopo. But then at the moment, we are asking you, the government, DMR, please help us with this small-scale mining thing, and then at least we can mine for ourselves, because we are trying to stop illegal, but you can't stop illegal and say stopped just without creating another job. So people need to work.
Some illegal miners have also connected electricity illegally to their illegal mining operations. The illegal miners extract the minerals and leave gaping trenches and holes and damaging crucial infrastructure such as water pipes. Some houses in the area are also experiencing huge cracks and damages. Community members have been trying to rehabilitate the area by closing some holes and trenches, but they have since stopped due to budget constraints. The community is appealing to government for assistance in rehabilitating the abandoned illegal mines in their villages.
The illegal mining activities have left us with enormous holes in our village and have also damaged our water supply. When they dig, they burst the pipes, leaving us without water. We live in constant fear that our children may fall into these massive holes, making our living conditions extremely unsafe.
They keep on digging and they are getting closer and closer to our homes. We are not safe as our houses may collapse as they dig underneath our houses. Even when soldiers are here, they keep on digging. This illegal mining is continuing because of poverty and unemployment. We have ad hoc mine here, but they did not hire people from our villages. We are always sidelined in everything, and it is so sad.
Illegal mining has become a massive challenge for the entire village, compromising the safety of residents and damaging crucial infrastructure. The community is struggling to cope with the consequences of illegal mining, which include hazardous holes that pose a danger to children playing in the area. The illegal mining activities also result in the destruction of essential infrastructure, such as electricity poles, leaving the village without power for months.
The Department of Mineral Resources says its mine closure and rehabilitation program is only targeted at old and neglected mines that were mined before 1994, whose owners cannot be traced. It says the program is not designed to illegal mining. This is one of the huge holes and trenches left by illegal miners after extracting the chrome deposits because they do not want to incur the cost of rehabilitating the area. I'm Koke Chomotao, SABC News, our talk.
Let's talk about the security aspect to the illegal mining crisis in South Africa. Bring in security expert, crime expert, in fact, from Unisa Tebogobogoba, who's joining us on The Full View tonight. Good to have your time on the program. As far as threats to national security go, how big of a threat is illegal mining?
Good evening, Tembegile, and hope you are well. Good evening to the viewers. It is a gross challenge, understanding just the few things that are trending in the media. When you have illegal people from Lesotho and other parts of the continent that are in South Africa operating illegal mines, and as far as they can even resist or chase away the police, that's so gross. You go to Mpumalanga area, you find people from other areas of Africa, Mozambique, Swaziland, and other parts of Africa operating there extremely that even the local communities are afraid of going into that area. So it is gross. But then let's look at to also other challenges that happen security-wise is that the community itself is now living in fear because some of these illegal miners are males. They come into our country. They end up doing as they wish with the women around those mining communities.
And in terms of the illegal immigration issue, in large part, in some of these operations, at least some of them, we're told that many of the illegal miners come from neighboring SADC countries, including Mozambique, Lesotho, etc. They're involved in turf wars and are heavily armed. How do you even begin to dismantle that, considering that we don't even know how many people are actually involved or where and how they're getting into the country?
Dismantling it, I will start from operational sense that if the police wanted to stop this, they could. A joint operation between SAPS and the military and intelligence could in a week stop all this. But the question is whether there is political will. But then let's look at our porous borders. Not the border gates, but the borders. The borders, I mean that if you're in Free State, you can see a child going into Lesotho to buy bread and coming back. When you are in Mpumalanga, I was in Mpumalanga recently, I saw school kids. They daily cross into South Africa illegally to attend school. During breaks, they can even cross back to Swaziland, eat at home, come back to South Africa for their classes. After school, they walk back to Swaziland illegally, no passport required. So our borders are a problem, and I think all these other countries need to come and discuss whether they are going to start having a better approach towards perhaps a SADC kind of identification to allow these people to formally be here, or strengthen the measures from those other countries. Because if you realize, recently we saw when you are in Mozambique, you are even aided by the soldiers and the police to cross to South Africa. So the law enforcement of those countries are actually assisting and aiding people to illegally cross into our country. So those are the issues that we need to look into. But political will is what we want. We have all the policies, we have the necessary human resource, we have the necessary technological resource. What we just need is the political will to cap all these porous borders and also the extensive overflow of illegal immigrants.
And what about the guns, Tebogo? Because if the people themselves are getting into the country illegally, you have to wonder if they're bringing the guns and explosives with them, or are they getting them illegally in South Africa? And if so, how do we even then trace whether the same guns are used to commit other crimes beyond the vicinity, pardon me, of these illegal mining operations?
Guns and explosives cannot operate themselves. So if you reach the people, you have kept all that. The weapons of mass destructions cannot operate themselves. It's not nuclear. If you reach these people, you will find the guns when you arrest them. You will find the explosives. But what I'm saying is that most of the crimes that happen involving ammunition, involving explosives, involving weapons are aided to some extent by law enforcement. If law enforcement was just to take a turnaround to say we are no longer tolerating this, we are going to stop this. When you arrest these people wherever they are sleeping, you will find the firearms. If not, intelligence must be there to guide us to say where are they coming from, and where possible, South Africa must reach out to go and stop this supply of illegal ammunition from those countries. We have Interpol in South Africa, mainly the Interpol that service in SADC is based here in South Africa. Those are the people that we see their work and we congratulate them and we appreciate their work. But we are saying that they could go and assist to say, if there's an illegal supply of ammunition in a large quantity from Mozambique, then let us stop it from Mozambique. Let us not wait for it to reach South Africa, then we start to respond. Let's go to Mozambique and stop that. Let there be bilateral engagement between the two governments to say we are not going to allow a situation whereby your trucks come. And if so be, let there be the seizure of these trucks. No truck owner will want to risk their truck being seized because they have weapons and explosives and ammunition and firearms. If there were to be those measures, say, if we find your truck transporting any illicit product, we are going to take the truck and forfeit it to the state. I'm telling you, 2 weeks is too much. We would have peace, we would find a closure to all these crimes. But for so long that one driver is found to be transporting ammunition, we arrest them. Next week they get bail, they go and drive the same truck, they transport the same ammunition. Then we are just running in cycles.
Tabang, thank you so much for speaking to us. I've been calling you Tebogo. My apologies, Tabang Bohopa from UNISA, a crime expert speaking to us this evening on SABC News. Well, in the Northwest, one community says there has been somewhat of a lull, if you will, in illegal mining operations, but other crimes, even murder, appear to be on the increase. Sintle Inglihihi brings us this report.
Cold-blooded murders and robberies are too common in the Kanana community, leaving businesses like this tavern crippled after 8 people were murdered and 13 others injured in a bloody mass shooting in July last year. While 3 people linked to the shooting have since been arrested and have appeared in court for a pre-trial hearing, nothing can be done to undo the trauma.
These people came in shooting from outside. We didn't see them inside. We are still very hurt by what happened. And even if we wanted to open again, We don't even know where to start because we don't know who those people are and what they wanted here. The way they kill those people is just terrible, and I still can't get peace. Even when you are sitting in the house, you can hear gunshots ringing.
Out in the streets, violent crimes have only gone from bad to worse.
Contact crime, property crime has gone up. Moreover, when we talk about property crimes, it is this crime of house breaking, these house robberies, business robberies, and even hijacking now is on the rise also. And then murder, yes, there are murders in Kanana, and murders of Kanana are being committed within a firearm. And it raises a serious concern that there are a lot of unlicensed firearms in our township.
While police have made inroads in combating illegal mining, assaults, murders and robberies remain a concern.
Since the end of the rescue operation and the start of the rehabilitation process, the province has released quarterly crime statistics that showed a massive decrease in crime in the Dr. Kenneth Kaunda district, as well as other serious crimes associated with illegal mining. Meanwhile, the accused who was arrested by Vala Umgodi team for possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition is expected to reappear in court on Tuesday, the 16th of September, 2025.
Police say the link between this accused person's gun and the brazen business robbery, where 100 firearms were stolen in 2023, is a significant breakthrough. Sintle Inglihihi, SABC News, Kanana near Orkney.
Sintleng's report from the Northwest tonight, rounding up our coverage on the SABC, a special focus that we're going to continue, by the way, throughout the week, the rest of the week here on SABC News, looking at crime, the different facets of our lives that have been so affected by the violence of our country. And today, on The Full View, we've been focusing on illegal mining. You're wondering why I have a slightly different background this evening. Well, we're in the center of Johannesburg, a place that carries the dreams of many people who come to the big city of Johannesburg seeking better prospects, better fortunes, if you will, be it South Africans, be it people who come from neighboring SADC countries. This is where we all gather in search of those aspirations, and sometimes, as has been evidenced tonight, those aspirations are fulfilled to a degree by crime, as detailed by the many illegal miners who've traveled from as far as Mozambique, etc. But there is also some light at the end of the tunnel, people who are doing good work to basically restore the reputation and the image of the Johannesburg inner city, notorious for crime and poor service delivery. The likes of Dlalanje are, for example, taking people on tours and have been kind enough to host us here this evening to give us a better sense of how, or what it feels like at least, to be in the Joburg inner city. And I think before we go, it's only fitting that we speak to Grant Ngobo from Dlalanje, who's joining me now. Grant, good to have you with us. So we are here, as I was saying, you guys are doing some great work trying to especially restore confidence, rebuild, if you will, the reputation, the image of the Joburg inner city. Tell us about the work that you do here.
Hi, Tembegile. Thank you so much for having us and for actually coming and using our space. So, Dlalanje is one of the organizations that are actually that operates from Ponte City, the Ponte Towers, one of the most iconic buildings in the Joburg skyline. So, we've been lucky to be able to do the work that we do that's funded by tourism. Believe me or not, but people from all over the world still look at Joburg and call it the city of gold. So people want to come here and actually experience the culture and see what is this, what people talk about when they say the city of gold. So we've been lucky. We do tours, immersions and events from the 51st floor of Ponte City, and that's our income generating model for us to actually fund 2 community centers that serves the youth in the neighborhood. So if you ask me to tell you my story, I would obviously spend a couple of hours just explaining where I come from and how I ended up here. But I was one of the kids that actually were part of the Dlalanje project 13 years ago. I was one of the kids that studied there, that got an opportunity to become a tour guide, and I started taking people from all over the world, and then I became the CEO. So we are one of the very best things to do in Joburg. We do tours of Ponte Towers. People book this space out. We do walking tours. So we are challenging the perceptions that people have about this building and the area.
And for those wondering, why should they come to Ponte Towers in the inner city of Johannesburg? How do you convince them?
I mean, why shouldn't they come? You know, this would be the first question I ask them, because everything that people hears about this area is mostly online. So we're saying, listen, we're not going to tell you whether it's safe or not from the online platforms, but we want you to come here, experience the culture, and while you're here, you're not only just sightseeing or learning about the culture, you are also giving back by just buying a ticket to come on a tour. You're actually supporting the project that serves over 600 youth per year in the community.
Well, Grant, good to meet you, and thank you so much for hosting us. Grant Ngobo, part of the team from Dlalanje, who've been hosting us in the Johannesburg inner city for the special broadcast to focus on illicit mining, illegal mining, as many of us have come to know it. But do stay with SABC News. Our various programs throughout the rest of the week will be focusing on, as I was saying earlier, different crimes that affect us as a South African society. From myself, Tembekile Mkhototo, that's it for tonight. Bongiwe will be back at the top of the hour with a roundup of the day's biggest stories, local and international. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
Sterling work there by Tembegile and the team, looking at the different, areas of illegal mining and the impact that this has on the economy, security of the country. We'll bring you more news on the other side of this break.